everybody. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I'm Kelly Hogan, and I am so excited to have today Dr. Lisa Wiedeman, who is an 11-year carnivore and a 30-year practicing optometrist. She is amazing. When I first started Zero Carb, and I'm going to just go to talking to you now, Lisa. When I first found Charles Washington and Zeroing In on Health, which was a forum, I showed up in October of 2009. You were already there helping people. You were one of the first people that I met. You were so encouraging to me. Your story amazed me then. It amazes me now. And I'm thrilled to have you here today to talk on the topic of eating like social situations on a carnivore diet. But before we do, welcome. And I would love for you to just tell them how you got here. How did you become carnivore, Lisa?
Well, first of all, Kelly, I'm so excited to be here. You know I love you. I've known you for 10 years now and shared steak with you. So, yeah, I just did a lot of research over years of a lifetime of struggling with carb addiction, sugar addiction, and was just so fortunate to come upon Charles Washington's group and found a couple women on there who had cured themselves of carb addiction. And I just jumped in full steam ahead and never looked back, and just really just kept trying to support people who came on the boards. And next thing you know, I had you at my home having a meetup with all of a sudden 12 people because, you were local coming into the area. And I said, well, come share a steak. And then people got wind of it. And next thing you know, we had a nice little meetup at my house, which was great. But yeah, that's basically it. And then I've just been going along eating my meat and just more recently been more public about it, starting to get into this whole social media rage of the carnivore movement, because I just feel like it's so important to get the word out and help people who are starting out. And in our case, since you and I have been really doing this a decade, just making sure, because I think one of the initial questions people have is this sustainable? Is this healthy? And sure as heck it is. We're living proof.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'd love to talk about the whole social situation, the parties, eating out, vacations, because I think initially for me it was a worry, a concern, and gradually over time it became like it was just so easy and actually just not an issue at all. And so I think that would be helpful for us to talk about it and really let people know that you can get to this, and maybe if they understand how we feel about it, they can start getting that mindset and say, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about what I eat or how I eat. And for the most part, people don't notice. So yeah, we can get into that.
So when you talked about New Jersey, that was when I had been carnivore about 6 months, and I came to your house. You had this massive, beautiful ribeye roast.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Awesome.
it was so good. A social situation like that was a dream. You had water, even like plain seltzer water, tons of meat. It was all carnivores. It was like the social dream for all zero carbers. It's never been like that since, really. Like,
of course.
That's not what most parties are like for us. We go out into the world. I don't like just party with carnivores, although coming up in March, I'm going to have another similar experience, and I've had a few meetups since. But in March, me and you are going to get together with some friends, Laura Spath, Judy Cho. We're going to go have meat, and it's going to be like another Nirvana carnivore moment. But for all other days of our lives, we're just out eating with people who eat carbs. Our own spouses, our children, our in-laws, our parents, our friends, they're not all carnivores, and we make it work, right? There are tricks and things that we learn how to handle it. I heard you, speaking of Judy, on your Nutrition with Judy interview, I heard you say that like the nightmare situation that you always feared was you would go to someone's house, especially I'm thinking if it's somebody you don't know well, like perhaps your spouse's boss or something, right? And you sit at the table, and in front of you is a salad, a plate of lasagna, and a dessert. And that's dinner. That's like worst case scenario to me.
Yeah, and the best situation really is knowing ahead of time and actually talking to the host or trying to find out what's being served. Um, but yeah, I was saying it in my 11 years of doing this, this was the first time, just this past New Year's Eve, where I thought I was going to some sort of big banquet buffet thing. It ends up it was going to a small dinner party of people I didn't really know, and I didn't really know ahead of time. And, the first thing that's out is a big Caesar salad with big chunky croutons on it. And I wasn't going to touch it. And so I just thought to myself, well, oh, well, we'll just go with it. It was a little awkward. I just sat there and drank my water and just chatted with everybody, and everybody's eating their salad. And, they picked up the salad plates and picked up my plate. And I knew, fortunately, though, I had peace of mind because I knew there was a big filet mignon on the grill. And that was actually what was for dinner, along with, whatever broccoli and sweet potato or whatever. I didn't pay attention to it, but I had meat to eat. And but I think I think at the beginning that was one of my hesitations of thinking, well, gosh, how do you do this? It's weird, it's awkward, and I don't want to be seen as a freak or make it socially awkward for my husband. And it really just ends up, like I said, most people don't notice what you're eating and not eating. And I put shrimp and meat on my plate, and they offer the baked potato. I say, no, thank you. And you just go on with laughing and talking with people. So
yes, I feel like if I am there and I look happy and I am enjoying myself and I'm smiling and I'm talking and I'm feeling like maybe not the life of the party, that's a lot to put on myself, but I'm trying to bring life to a party and I'm enjoying myself, no one else really cares. Now, if I were to sit there looking sad while everyone eats and I'm like, no, thank you, I can only eat meat. Now suddenly, oh, well, that's sad. You're bringing people down.
Yeah. I found that it's just really better just to not bring it up, and there's no reason to bring it up. And if it does come up in conversation, it's really pretty much only because somebody's really interested and, makes a comment. And if they really take an interest and they really want to listen, then you chat about it. It's just an interesting topic of conversation. But other than that, at a party, nope, just having fun, eat the meat, pick at some cheese, and just enjoy the company.
I think all of us are guilty of thinking that everyone cares about our actions and choices infinitely more than they actually do, because everyone else is too busy thinking about their own selves. They have their own insecurities, their own issues. They don't care what's on our plate, really,
Yeah.
As long as we seem okay with it, why would they not be okay with it? Key phrases I sometimes use, if there is literally nothing I can have, is, you know what, I'm so ridiculous. I was hungry before I came. I couldn't wait anymore, and I had to go in and eat. I'm not hungry yet. And sometimes I'll even say, is it, if it's a situation where it would be appropriate to box something up and take it home for later, even if I know it's not for me, my husband could have it, that would be fun. Or you could say, another thing people really respect these days is things like, it's an elimination diet. I wouldn't just bring that up, but if someone says, oh, why are you only eating the meat? And they normally won't, right? Most people don't care.
Right.
But I could say, well, it's an elimination diet and it makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
People don't tend to argue that.
No. And the one thing I will mention that I have noticed just from coaching friends, family, and, interested carnivores into this, I find that sometimes they almost use the party situation as an excuse to go back into their addiction. Like, well, grandma's insisting I have her apple pie, or, hey, I'm with these friends and I don't want to make my host uncomfortable, so I might as well. And it's really just an excuse, because there is no reason. I always say this, only you have control of what you put through your lips and nobody else. And so you make the decision for yourself. I'm doing this for me, and this is what I want. And you get to the point where you don't really care what other people think about what you eat. And that's that. So I just wanted to bring that up, because I do find, I hear that often, that people go off the rails because they're at a party. Well, are you going off the rails because it's just too much temptation and you couldn't stand it? Are you going off the rails because some family member said, well, that's not healthy for you. Come on, you can have a little of X, Y, or Z. And you just give in because in your head you really want to, and you're making that excuse. But I think the point that you and I are making is that you really can do this fairly easily. There might be a little twinge of awkwardness here or there, but honestly, who cares? Oh well. It's no different than a vegan insisting on, I can't eat what you're serving, or, picking at whatever. What's the difference? We pick at the meat, they pick at the veggies at a situation, and that's that. So it really comes down to the decision of, how you want to handle it. I cringe when I'm on some of these forums that I help coach on, and I see people who say, what should I do? I'm going back to we're having a family reunion and this and that and this and that with the food. And then people make comments like, well, you only live once, you can get right back on it. And, just they're so quick to say, go ahead, and I think we're here to say, you don't have to do that. And it can really, derail you. And you have to learn to handle the situations, or else they're going to just keep coming up, whether it's a holiday, a birthday, some party, some celebration, whatever it is. You'll always use that as an excuse then to go off, and either learn how to deal with it and stay the course because that's what's healthiest and best for you, or you don't.
Absolutely. And there are really two kinds of people in your life. The people that really matter, right? Your real life people, like your grandma, that really do matter and love you. Those people want you to live your best life. If they love you, they want you healthy. They don't want, if they really understood what this addiction was like and what it is to be free of cravings and what it's like to have inflammation go down in your body and to feel good, that's what those people want for you. And then you have people who don't really matter, who are just casual acquaintances watching you eat at a party. Who cares if they notice you're only eating the meat? Other things that I find, if you are at a party and there is at least some meat, so at least it's better than this lasagna scenario, right?
Right.
The lasagna scenario, I would probably just go with, I'm so sorry, but I'm really not hungry at this moment. I might get hungry later, but I'm just going to wait. Or I could go into explaining it, but I usually don't either. I don't normally see a lot of benefit in saying, I can't have this lasagna. Because
or it depends how well you know them. And you could, if you realize at the beginning of the situation that that's where you're going to end up, you could just on the side go over and say, I'm sorry I didn't let you know ahead of time. I'm on a really restricted way of eating because of certain health issues I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind, if you have some cheese, I can make up a little cheese plate for myself, and I'd be so happy just to sit there and eat cheese when everybody's eating dinner.
Yes. And then when they see that you really are happy, then no problem, I agree. If it's somebody that we really know, there is no one in my life that I really know that thinks I'm going to show up and eat lasagna. So this is truly only an issue for the people
Very odd situation.
At the beginning. But now, after 10 years, it's not like my mom's still plating up lasagna for me. Yeah. It's very easy now. Everybody knows. But if it was somebody new and I didn't let them know ahead of time, then yeah, I'm just not hungry right now, and that's no big deal. Nobody's going to force feed you. And the people who really love you, they want you healthy. The people who don't really love you, who cares? They don't. They're eating what they want, and you leave them alone. Live and let live. That most people really don't care. When you go out to eat, people say, oh yeah, what about when you go out to eat? Well, unless it's a vegan restaurant, I'm going to assume they're going to have meat. Ask the waiter. I typically will say, on my plate tonight, I literally only want meat. What would be the best way to do that? They work there. They know. And a lot of times they'll say, well, if you want a burger, I could just ring up a burger patty for you. Or they say, if you want a steak, I can just ring up a steak. Places I've found are so willing to work with you if you just ask and tell them what you want. Now, if you're trying to be super low key, You could be at Outback, order the steak dinner. It'll come with sides. You could either pick with it if you want. Don't actually eat it. Nobody will probably care if you eat it or not. Say, you know what, I'm just going to eat the steak and box the rest up for later. I no longer play it super low key. I just want what I want on my plate, so I ask for it.
Yeah. The other thing that I find that I pretty much always do is it's so accessible online to just go on the website, click on menu, and I actually decide what I'm going to eat before I get there. And if there's some sort of question, I even just call, the phone number's right there, call the restaurant and say, are your chicken wings breaded, or do you have gluten-free? I just make those picky sort of discussions ahead of time, so that you're not feeling awkward at the table chatting with the waiter when everybody else is like, oh, what the heck, let's just order and move on. So I try to do that ahead of time. It's certainly easy enough to do.
I have definitely done that before too. If I'm going to a barbecue place, especially, I just want to call and say, hey, is it a dry rub? Is it a sauce thing? Because you're right, I don't want for them to have to deal with that in person while everyone waits. Yeah, that's a good tip. Vacations, I usually try to get a room that has a little mini fridge in it, and I'll usually take a whole bunch of burger patties or some meat in case I'm there and the hotel doesn't have something that I want right away, or in case I'm hungry right at night. But typically, if it's vacation, we're going out to eat, and I'm ordering like we just talked about, similar to everyone else. But, sometimes a mini fridge full of meat takes a little pressure off of me and pressure off of my family in case they want to go to a place that may not be. I don't love paying $30 for a piece of meat. So if I know they're going to a place where for me to get full, it's going to be very expensive, I'll just eat beforehand or afterwards. I'll go and just sit and talk. I think part of a carnivore diet, one of the beautiful things is we get back to living instead of it being all about the eating. Just go to a social situation and be social.
Yeah. I can do that like in a sort of like a crowded party kind of thing. I can totally eat before I go, knowing there's probably just going to be, if anything, a pepperoni and cheese platter, which, in that kind of situation, I sometimes I'll eat ahead and then just mill around and drink my seltzer and just chat and party up and have fun. But I have to say, if I'm going out with a group, I'm just not comfortable sitting there not eating at all. I always just, there's always something, just like you said, unless you're at a vegan place, there's usually always something that you can manage to get put in front of you that you can eat. And if it's something small and not filling, after I go home and I eat a half a pound or a pound of ground beef, no big deal.
Yes. Unlike, I feel like some people, their blood sugar will plummet and they get hangry immediately if they're not eating. If I'm somewhere and there's not anything, my husband knows, it's okay. I just eat when I get home. But you're right. There's almost always some meat available. So I think this takes some of the pressure off of people, is to just truly keep reminding yourself, I don't care what they're eating. They probably don't care what I'm eating. If they ask questions, you can give as much or as little information as you want. If you want to go into this, if I wanted to tell a whole 10-year story of why I eat meat, okay. And if I want to say, you know what, I feel like I just want to focus on this steak. Man, it's good. I'm saving myself for steak today. I don't have to turn it into a lifelong decision.
I think at the beginning when I really decided it was a lot easier just not making it known and being quiet about it. If we were out with 2 or 3 couples, I just let the steak and the veggies and everything come, and nobody really noticed that you're just kicking around the veggies and pushing it off to the side so it doesn't touch my meat. Just eat the meat, and nobody's like staring at your plate saying, wow, you don't eat vegetables? Why didn't you touch your vegetables? Like, nobody's bothering to say that. And I just found that, in that kind of situation, and for many of, the viewers here that are fairly new to this, it's easy. And then like how you said, I had, non-carnivore family members at the time, and I would just box up and take home whatever and use it as a side dish at another meal for them. But for sure, I at the beginning, just ordered the sides and either took them home or just left them there. And now, yeah, I'm just a lot more, just throw the meat on the plate. I don't want anything else. And they're accommodating. And a lot of times, even when you're not getting all the sides, I just say, do you have anything you can substitute? Like, bacon or shrimp and surprise, surprise, sometimes you get it. I just posted on my Instagram the other day that I was at a restaurant, and this whole keto low carb movement is becoming so popular that the waitress actually said to me once, I was saying, no this, no that, no, I just really want, the meat on the plate. And she's like, oh yeah. So I can put some deviled eggs on there if you want instead. I was like, that sounds great,
Yes.
So, I think actually now with this becoming more prominent, it's even better for this whole movement for people to be able to eat out much, much easier.
I agree completely. I feel like now no one bats an eye. I even sometimes throw out, people say, oh, are you eating keto? And I'm like, yeah, kind of.
Keto on.
It's keto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, Lisa, I try to keep these chats short, but it's hard with you because you're really fun to talk to, and I adore you, and I cannot wait to get together and eat some meat in person
March
again.
I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this, Lisa. And I'll see you I'll put all your Instagram links up. And let me just tell you this. You guys can find her at meatrx.com. She is a coach that you can go on. This is the Dr. Sean Baker.
Yes, website.
Yes, his website, and you can actually sign up for one-on-one coaching with Lisa. She's also all around the forums, the zero carb sites. You've made yourself incredibly accessible, and thank you for working not just socially and kind of in an online way, but day to day with your patients. I know you have changed so many lives.
I try. It's hard.
I'm sure it is.
I'm shocked at how many people actually don't want to take the information and do something with it. So you've got bleeding in your eye, really? I don't want to give up the bread and the pasta and the sugar.
I'm sure it's very disheartening, but keep fighting the good fight. And thank you, Lisa.
Yep.
Love you.
Great talking with you, Kelly. Bye.
Bye.